Good morning, I'm Charles Arthur, I'm the technology editor of The Guardian, and welcome to today's event organised by Insight. It's the big debate, the journey through the cloud. Basically, this is your chance to ask the questions that are interesting you, the things that you want to find out this afternoon while you have all these people in front of you available to query. If you want to just stick your hands up in the air if you have a question, I'll move among you my best Jeremy Kyle style, and we'll see if we can get some sort of verbal punch-up going, perhaps. Perhaps if we start, I'll put my own question. What sort of effect, gents, has all the revelations about the NSA and GCHQ, have you seen any effects from people who are coming to you thinking about the cloud? Have they given you any sort of indication that it's concerned them at all?
Across Europe, we're seeing a lot more end users preferring to work with local cloud providers rather than the big global players. We're also seeing the fact that security plays a big issue and having encryption built into technology. But I think the biggest thing that we've seen is a hybrid approach where there's a combination of both on-premise and off-premise, complete with the security measures put in, is being deployed rather than 100% in the cloud.
To us, it's more an illustration that it is happening. We've always said that your data is vulnerable and you need to protect it. So this is another prime example that shows that people really are out there grabbing your data. It drives you towards a solution rather than thinking about whether you need to do it or not.
NSA PRISM is being gathered under the Patriot Act. Now, the Americans' Patriot Act clarifies and codifies a set of rules and regulations about information gathering in a much more clear way than many of the other countries on the face of this planet. So there's two parts of the Patriot Act which I think people confuse with each other. The first is the right to gather information without the subject being aware of it. And the only thing that the Americans can gather under that circumstances is metadata. Who called who and where. They can't look at the contents of your emails or the content of your telephone conversation. In order to do that and to get any substantial information, they actually need a signed court warrant. And the parties involved must be made aware that the information gathering is taking place. Not to do so would be totally illegal in the United States. Now, if you compare that to, say, France, where it may be more common practice for the security services just to nudge the vendor and say, can you give me certain information? It would not be illegal in France for that information to be given up without a court warrant. So the American system, the Patriot Act, is a lot clearer and a lot more rigid than some of the other countries.
We are seeing a lot of local, country or geo-specific service providers who provide localized services that adhere to local legislation requirements, local language challenges and so on. The Patriot Act is an interesting comment because in the EU we generate out of Brussels more legislation in a month than they do in an entire year out of the US. So we're a very legislative theatre from a European perspective. So I think trust and security is a key thing. It's a perception, and I think you need to become comfortable with the partners that you're working in to understand the measures that they're taking to protect your data.
A couple of the presentations, I think it was mentioned that Insight was a European entity. It's not, it's a US entity. That is fact. But what we have done is based on customer feedback around, again, the perception of the US Patriots Act in comparison to the EU Data Protection Act. We've had to create a solution around how do we deal with that data. Well, if it's sold to you by Insight, it's adhered to by the US Patriots Act, period. But with the ability that Colt have, which is European-based data centers, German-based entity, we can create a solution that does alleviate that concern and does put you outside that US Patriots Act. Do we have any customers that actually do that once we really drill down into the nuts and bolts of what that actually means? No. Can we do that for you? Yes, if you really wanted us to. But I think the fact that we don't have any customers that actually end up doing it, even though they come to us at the first point of call to ask for it, I think says a lot.
How many people use video conferencing, say, at least every month? Okay, that's quite a lot of people, I'd say. That's interesting. My perception's always been that it's not so used. And how many people use a paid-for system rather than a free one? Okay, smaller number, I'd say. Okay, that's about, but still, there's a selling opportunity there. I mean, actually, more generally, I'd like to widen it out to the question of how do you compete with the, quote, free services?
Aside from packing up and going home, because we can't compete against free, I think there's... it's very interesting. How many people everybody uses, or a lot of people use Dropbox. May 30th, they had a major outage. Google Mail, major outage. So a lot of the Uber cloud providers, they may be free for the freemium, it's a new kind of a word, but freemium services. So you start free and they kind of get you hooked, and then you start wanting more features and you want better SLAs and so on. You then start paying. So there's no such thing really as a complete free lunch if you want the reliability, enterprise class scalability, security.
Alex, are there sort of free competitors to Citrix?
Yeah, Dropbox. So, it's free, it's good, but it's a consumer product, I think, as I said. So there's free stuff, which is great, but then we're all enterprise IT users and organisations that we have corporate guidelines, corporate security we need to be under. So, there's a cost to not be able to control your data. There's a cost to not knowing where your data is. There's a cost to not be able to recover your data from the device or an area. That is a cost if you don't get it right. Either a cost through fine, cost loss of competitiveness, on and on. So yes, these things are free, and Dropbox is a great product, but it's a consumer product.
What we find with Vast is that a couple of things. First of all, Skype is free point to point. So if you're going to make a call from one Skype location to another, it's great. It does a really good job of that in most circumstances. Occasionally, people want to do multi-point calling, so they want to connect multiple sites together, especially if you're talking about desktops, which with Skype you inevitably are. It doesn't work well with room systems. When that happens, that becomes chargeable, but also it means that you can't bring in room systems. Skype only works with Skype. So if you want to bring in a Polycom system or a life-size system or something else that resides in the meeting room somewhere, there is no way to do that using Skype on its own. There is a cloud service that will allow you to do it, but guess what? That's more expensive than Vast. So that ability to bring in that meeting room video conferencing thing, I think is a really major key point. Like I said earlier as well, Skype is good. It can be great, but it can be really ropey. So if you want to rely on it to have a video meeting, it really isn't something that people choose to use.
I would say you get what you pay for. It's a very simple thing to say, but that's the honest truth. When you start to look at, what the frees provide, yes, they provide a basic antivirus. So that's great. If you only need a basic antivirus and you're willing to build firewalls around it, host intrusion prevention, a whole lot of other technologies, if you like, to shore up the fact that you've only got a basic antivirus, then fine. You probably you can get a whole swathe of free products and try and make them work together and integrate them. But in the end, when you come to a reputable vendor, they're doing all that for you. You're not having to worry about those sort of things.
Where data protection availability is concerned, you're talking about insurance premiums. And I think whenever we have meetings with corporate end users, the key questions that we ask is look at the servers that you've got, look at the value of it, and look at the value or effect to you in any kind of event that means you don't have access to those systems, and start putting a cost to it. If you have 1 hour of downtime of your email system, what's the productivity issue? If you have an hour where you have no access to an online ordering system, what damage is that for that hour? But not only that hour, your reputation. Now, if you're prepared to put trust in a tool that's been free, that obviously because it's free hasn't got the development resources behind it, that down the road might not be around or might be taken over or might have things go wrong with it, then you're prepared to do that as the insurance policy? Well, fine, but I don't think so.
When I look at it, it's going back to your requirements and identifying what you really need and ensuring that you're getting what you need. So if the free product meets all your requirements, possibly it's the way to go, but quite often you'll find there's some item there. One of them, if you're putting or storing anything with them, certainly what happens if they go bust and you've got no clauses as to how to get your data back, which is a big problem potentially. Like I say, it's about ensuring that it meets all your requirements. If it does, fine. If it doesn't, then you need to look at an option that can provide you with the better level of service you need that basically supports your business. You are relying on it to run your business, and if it stops and you stop, that's it, that's your business, isn't it?
The SLAs are the measurement of value of a managed service. What happens when it goes wrong? What comeback do I have? If you were using, say, Skype for free, and you phone up Microsoft because there's been an outage, try it. Phone them up, see what they say. And not just free. I mean, free is just a real extreme. Low cost in there as well. Google Apps will do you $1 a user a month. What do you get for that? Forum-based support, where you hang around waiting for other people with the same problems to give you an idea of a solution. So look at the support you're getting, look at the service level agreements you're getting, and look at how it's going to cost to manage it. And that's the difference between free and paid for.
We're nearly at the time when we're going to be wrapping up. So just a final question, which I'd like you to answer, if you could, please, in one sentence, but it has to be a really powerful sentence, which is, why should people move to the cloud? Ash, I'll start with you. One sentence.
Time to think. It will make your business better.
Very good. Mark?
Stop wasting time on infrastructure and start thinking about what the business needs.
George?
I'm a bit contentious. It will make you more secure.
So,
Move to the cloud if it makes sense for your business. If not, don't.
Warren?
People should only move to the cloud if it improves your quality, decreases your costs, or eases your management overheads.
Alex?
If you don't, you'll never realise the benefits of the agility and the flexibility you get from it.
I don't think that actually counts as
I think
that's a follow-on.
That's all I can think of at the time. Yeah. Long day.
John?
The reason you shouldn't fire me is... Oh, no, sorry.
I've already fired a bit.
I think
I'm Jeremy Kyle, remember?
kind of what these guys have said, look at the services that are available and the ways to do these various things that you need to do in business today. If cloud is the best way of doing that, then you should move to cloud. Often it is.
Chris, finally.
Comment.
I think look to the right tasks within your business to think about moving those to the cloud in order to enable you to focus on your core business, to progress the business forward economically and return, as Ash said, make your business better.
I'm not sure it was a sentence, but I think we'll let you off anyway. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
That was the longest.
So we've come to the end of the day. So I'd like to give my thanks to everyone at Insight for organising this, and to our panellists, who are too multitudinous to mention, I think, actually, but who will be available here for you to talk to afterwards. I'm Charles Arthur from The Guardian. Thank you very much for your time today, and I hope you enjoyed the day. Thank you.
Thank you.